Good morning, everyone. It's a lovely Saturday morning here in Canberra, quite cold, and just the day to be inside showing you how I use Timing app. On the blog this week, I wrote about how Timing app really saved me from my academic overwork problem. I described it as the Academic FitBit. And the reason I call it a Fitbit is that it gives you real-time feedback on how you're spending your day. So this is the timing window. This is the overview. And it's got four main sections. You can see up here there's some metrics on your productivity. It shows you what you were doing each day of the week. Down here it shows you which apps you were using, and over here it shows you the projects and tasks that you'd been assigned. I might start here in the projects and tasks because this is where Timing app fits in really nicely with other productivity systems like Getting Things Done. If you've worked with the Getting Things Done system, you'll know that you break down your workflow into the things that you do. So the first step that you do is to think about, what do I do every day? And I've broken it down into different categories. So I have meetings, I teach, communication, so I might be talking on Skype, or the phone, or email. I do Thesis Whisperer work. I've got this category here called enabling work, which is just kind of moving files around, working with OmniFocus and so on, keeping everything organised. I've got one project that I've pulled out for special attention here. This is my Postac project. It's the app we've been developing, and I really want to make sure I spend enough time on that. It's easy for a project like that to get lost, so I pull that one out separately. I don't separate any of my other research projects. Management is when I'm working directly with people in my team or with my manager, or doing anything that's really to do with running the team and getting the team together. I've got just a web browsing for just capturing when I'm just noodling around. It's good for keeping you a bit honest and how much you can get down the web browsing rabbit hole. I've got a data analysis and research, so if I'm working in SurveyMonkey, if I'm working in Excel, if I'm working in Deduce, or any number of the other programs that I use. Reading and writing is keyed into when I'm reading things in my PDF reader, I'm writing things in Scrivener or some other program. So it understands when I'm actually doing reading and writing, and that's such an integral part of my work that I just sort of like to keep track that I'm doing a lot of it, basically. Here we've got Patreon, which is what I'm doing right at the moment. There's a bit of social media here. Contrary to popular reports, I spend very little time on social media during the week. Very little time. Spend more time on my phone, but not much from my laptop. And here's just file management, where I'm just moving things around. And what it's done here is just visualised how I've spent each of those projects. So you can see here is Postac. I only spent 1 hour and 57 minutes on that this week, which is really not good when I'm really meant to be spending a day. So where did I spend time that I could have been spending on Postac? Clearly, I had a lot of meetings. But hey, I had a really nice time meeting, catching up with people, organising new work, that kind of thing. So sometimes you've just got to have a week where you have a lot of meetings. Over here are the different types of programs that I use to support my work. And it's a very simple process in timing how to get it set up so it automatically sees you doing a certain type of work when you're in a certain sort of program. You can override it though, which is useful because you might be in a meeting looking at your calendar and looking at your email as you talk to someone. You don't want that to tell you that it's enabling work, which is 2 hours, 12 minutes there, when actually it happened during a meeting and you want to record it as meeting. So it's quite flexible like that. Up here, we can look at by day what we're doing. You can see that I do Thesis Whisperer on the weekend and that I also do a little bit of ANU work. Look at that. I do some management, some analysis, some teaching on the weekend, but I've tried to add it up overall so that the hours don't get out of control. But this means that I'm not trading off flexibility with overwork, which is what often happens to people. Had a really big day on Tuesday. You can see I worked quite a long number of hours, but here on Thursday, I took a shorter day to compensate. So we all do that, but this actually keeps track of it much more succinctly and tells you what each day looked like. And over here, we can look at the total time that I worked this week. So I did bang on the 35 hours a day and you paid me. Unfortunately, I didn't finish my list. I'll have to do some this afternoon. I'm running at a sort of 3 hours more than I than I have. I'm actually paid for at the moment, but I'm working on what I can do about that. We can see most active work days there. That I actually was quite productive on Sunday. I got a report written on Sunday that I just didn't find headspace for any other day, but it's only 1 hour and 19 minutes out of my day. And it wasn't so bad. I did that when everyone else was doing other things like watching TV or playing games and stuff. And you can see here, long day on Tuesday, made up for it on Thursday. And that Thursday was a direct result of seeing how long I worked on Tuesday. I can also see when I tend to be most productive, and you can see that I've sort of got a late afternoon peak at 3 p.m, which really annoys me because I'm usually just getting going with my work by 3, and I often build it up during the morning. And it shows me personally that I'm actually really quite productive at these times of the day, which is not really how I have the impression of it in my mind. I actually think I'm more productive in the morning, but I certainly see that it really is quite a different picture when I see the metrics. Overall, this week I had a pretty terrible productivity score for me, 79%. Up here you can see you can change it between weeks. You can also visualize it in a number of different ways. So you can do a custom view, you can look at the whole year, you can look at a week. I'm going to stick with the weekly view at the moment, and I'm going to go back to last week, comparing this week with last week. And last week I worked 37 hours, which is not too bad. And if I look the week before, I had a big week. I worked 43 hours. Now, the interesting thing about this week, from a reflection point of view, is you can see I had heaps of Thesis Whisperer. And that's because I took a day from work on the Friday and I went off and I did a contracted piece of work at the University of South Australia. Now, ANU allows me to do 12 of these days a year, which is very generous. So I get paid by ANU to go and do my own thing. However, that means that really, I should have worked a 35-hour week, but look here, I actually just ended up adding that extra day's work to my day's week. So I didn't get the full benefit of what ANU are offering me in that generous paid outside work day. So really, I didn't take a paid outside day of work. I just worked lots and lots and lots of hours and made up for it. So this is a kind of revealing picture that that using Timing app can give you. Now, if I adjust this back here, to look at the view just for today, you can see all I've done is sort of browse the web looking for animation tips, and I'm working now on Patreon. And it knows I'm working on Patreon because I'm using my Camtasia 3 software to record the screen. I can also tell it consciously that I'm doing this. So I can go into the review mode here, and you can see so far I started at about 10:35. And I used Firefox, Camtasia. I looked, and it's sort of trying to catalogue my work here. So if I want that all to look like one project, I could just add in a new task if I wanted to. Or I can add a new task in as I go. So if I put in new task here, and I started at 10:35, and I say that it ran for 34 minutes, and I can put it into Thesis Whisperer Patreon, and then I can give it a title, and I can say making desktop video, and I can add the task. Now, the advantage of adding tasks is that you can come back down here to reports, and you can start to look very carefully at how you're spending your time. If I look at data and analysis there, now coming into this view and seeing the detail view means that for yesterday, I can look at what did I actually do, because I've made a note on each task, and that didn't take me very long to do, just to say, oh, I adjusted a survey monkey, and that took me an hour and 15 minutes to do that adjustment to the survey. If I go in here into communication, I can look at that I had 2 lots of email communication, one of 1 hour, 1 hour of 1 hour and 36 minutes. So that yesterday I spent 2.5 hours roughly just on email. So you can quickly see where your time goes down the gurgler. If I look here in teaching, what was I doing here? I was helping someone with the supervision survey to help someone prepare some data. So I call that teaching because it's dedicated to supporting someone who's developing a supervision professional development program. Okay, I'm tracking a few little extra things here for my own benefit, tracking how often I help my son with his homework, and I'm also trying to teach myself how to program. And if I look here in the meeting, then I can look at what sort of meetings did I have. I'm talking to some people about a negative emissions house grand challenge project, and so that took up that much meeting time. Okay, so that's a really useful way to look at things. So there's these three different ways of looking at things. So if I come to the review pane again and I go forward to today, I can sort of see how I'm tracking for today. Okay, so that is probably all I have to show you about timing. I'm happy to take any questions in the Patreon post if you've got some questions, or if you'd like to see more of what I do with this app or others, please just drop me a line, either email me, talk to me on Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, I'm around. And so far I've got 100% productivity for my day. I hope you have 100% productivity in relaxation if that's what you're doing today. All right, see you in 2 weeks, everyone. Bye.